I actually just went to pull my speech up, and my notes from my father-in-law, who's taking care of our baby, were I typed them all out and sent them to him. So a few people I wanted to thank first, just to start out. First, the Hall of Fame in general. It's a really, really cool honor, something that I'm really proud of, and something that I've always thought, if it did happen, would be a really cool experience, and it has been so far. And congratulations to all the other inductees as well. It's an honor to, especially in my era when I was at Andrean, there were so many great athletes across all the sports. At that time, we had some really great years athletically when I was here. So first, Tommy, thank you very much for those kind words. I appreciate that. Tommy, one of the greatest competitors I've ever been around in everything, not even just baseball. So I give him a lot of credit, and I actually, the Munster story is kind of funny. It was kind of a turning point in my whole baseball career. I was going to talk about it as well, but Tommy was definitely integral in kind of turning me into the player I ended up being past that first year that I was at Andrean. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad to have Tommy as a friend. My parents, I was a one-sport athlete from, I think, about age 13 or 14 on, where I just played baseball. And when I played it, I played it. Whether it was the middle of the winter and I was hitting, or going to athletic training or whatever it might have been, my mom and dad were willing to take me. They were there, and I can never thank them enough for that. And I kind of pray that hopefully I can be that kind of dad as well. So my dad's responsible for how much I love sports 100%. Some of my friends kind of give me crap about it because, I mean, we went to high school basketball, baseball, football, Indianapolis Indians, minor league hockey, whatever was going on, my dad took me. So that's something I'm most excited about being a dad and having a son. So I can't wait for that. So thank you to them for sure. Coach Pishker, obviously giving me an opportunity to play here was fantastic. Coach Pishker was a master motivator, and anybody who's ever been around him knows that. He was able to get almost anything out of anyone. And I coached high school baseball around the central Indiana area for about 8 years, and it's hard to appreciate your high school coaches until you're in that position and you're with 20 moody teenagers for 6 months out of the year. So always appreciate the lessons learned from you, Coach, and I definitely would say that as somebody in another part of the state, the name Andrean and the name Dave Pishker carries a lot of weight in other parts of the state, and I'm proud to have played for you. So thank you to Coach Pishker. A couple quick words about the teams I played on. Tommy mentioned the 2005 state title team, which was the first state title baseball team for the school, and it was a really special team to be a part of. We were definitely not the most talented team that's won a state title here, and there are probably much more talented teams that have come through that didn't win a state title. But the team it just had something that you got, and it came from the senior class really, that we weren't going to lose that game. We weren't going to end on a win. So we only had a couple guys who played in college. We did have a draft pick, which was helpful, and for some reason those guys just had a chip on their shoulder, and I think today, with the way recruiting and college exposure is today, there would have been at least maybe 6 or 7 more guys that would have played in college on that team. So this kind of ties back into Coach Pishker, and this was something that I always admired, was every single guy on that team had a role and 100% embraced it. And that was something that Coach Pishker was able to instill in those teams and all of his teams since, was that whether it was to come in and play defense at the end of the game, or pinch run, or lay down a bunt, or whatever it was, every single guy on that team was willing to do it to win. And then 2006, my senior year was a very different year from 2005. we lost most of the team to graduation. But what we did have, and I'm sure Coach Bishker will probably agree, is probably one of the best classes of freshman players to ever come through the school, and probably I think you'd have a hard time finding a better freshman class of players. I think we sometimes started 5 freshmen that year. So that was a little bit different, but I look back at that year as one of the years that inspired me to coach. Learning how to kind of lead a team and be an example for other players was something that I've thought of a lot over the years. So I was happy to see a few of those guys. Adam and Kyle were here too. So, but yeah, that year leading that team with Eddie Reardon and Chris Skinner and Mike Arvin was one of the most fun years I ever had. And I actually didn't know Adam was going to be here, but I had a funny Adam Norton joke already in my speech. But I was one of the lucky ones that actually had a couple of records that made it past the Adam Norton kind of massacre of the record book. So for those of you who don't know, Adam basically not only rewrote the Andrean record book, but the state record book for baseball. So it was an honor to get to play with him and follow his career as he went through too. So, and a lot of those guys in that class had great, not only Andrean careers, but college careers as well. So I was going to tell them the Munster story, which the reason I was I think it's a great example of Andrean and the attitude surrounding the program. I played at Roncalli my sophomore year as a sophomore, and I thought I was pretty good. And I came up here, and I don't think anybody called me by my name until maybe December or January. I was just a soft kid from Indy, basically. So we had that first game against Munster, and it wasn't only the kids, but the parents in the stands were. Everybody thought I had been recruited to come here, and it was we just moved up here, and we're Catholic, and we went to the Catholic school. So I didn't know what was going on. I was like, why does everybody hate me? Why does everybody hate me so much? I just like playing baseball. So I had the worst game probably of my Andrean career, I would say, that day, and I let it. I'm glad that I reacted the way I did, and like Tommy said, it was kind of a turning point for me personally in my career, and kind of helped turn me into the player I was. And Andrean baseball has been really important to me, and I've always been very proud to say that I was a part of this program, especially around the central Indiana area. So thanks again to everybody, and congratulations to everybody else tonight as well. Thanks.